Illinois, and that's Joe Barna, 3-star prospect out of Wheaton North. His big-time recruiting win for Illinois, and we have to mention the first prep prospect landed by Charlie Bowlen, the first-year outside linebackers coach. So I'll let you take the floor here initially, Joey. What stands out to you about this?
I mean, the fact that they were like, you're seeing more success in places, the Chicago suburbs, that Illinois has gotten kind of cooked on in the past years, and to be able to go land those guys, like you're fighting Wisconsin, and you look at the offer list, which is important, but I think you've got to look at the timing of the offers. Oklahoma offered Joe Barna 12 days ago. Like, this isn't an offer that came out late sophomore year, early junior year, and maybe wasn't something that held. He got an offer 12 days ago. Kansas offered in the middle of May. It's like, this is a good win for Illinois, and to beat Wisconsin. He took an official to Wisconsin. This wasn't one of those, like, you saw Tyshawn Griffin, who didn't visit anywhere. I mean, Joe Barna took some visits and ended up committing to Illinois. And you're right, first prep recruiting win for Charlie Bowlen. Obviously, you got Lane Jenkins, a junior college transfer, earlier this offseason. But I'm really eager to talk to Joe later on this afternoon, because I want to know more about Charlie Bowlen and what makes him what somebody we think could be a good recruiter. It's too early to say, like, to plant the flag and say good recruiter. But certainly the signs are there, and he's been a net positive for Illinois by our read.
Yeah, and what he's done with Marquise Lightfoot, getting Illinois into there. I think Charlie Bowlen, just meeting him, you and I have talked with him. He's really personable, Joey. I think he's doing a really good job on the recruiting trail. And he talks to people within the program. They say he's a star as a recruiter. For a guy, let's be honest, it was fair to have questions about him as a recruiter because he's never done it before. Like, he was brought in, I think, mostly to get the most out of Seth Coleman, to get the most out of Gabe Akis, the talent that Kevin Kane and Brett Bielema had kind of recruited at this outside linebacker position. But now he's adding more depth to that. And it starts with Joe Barna, 6'4", about 240, 250. Some are recruiting him as a defensive lineman, but he's basically a defensive end, outside linebacker. I like that he's going to be a stand-up edge rusher for the most part at Illinois, but he can't put his hand on the ground. And I hate to make the comp. I hate to do the white guy thing, but he looks like every Wisconsin outside linebacker we've seen for the past decade. Now, I don't know if I'm going to go TJ Watt level there, but the Nick Herbigs of the world, like, what stands out to me about Joe Barna is his use of his hands is really developed. He's a great hand fighter, really strong. He's got good feet, always driving forward, and he's just tenacious off the edge. So maybe not like the physically most intimidating, like Seth Coleman. He doesn't have that length. I don't think he's quite as strong as Gabe Akis quite yet, but a really developed prospect for a guy who just completed his junior year. And for me, Joey, it's just him, Eddie Turk, TJ McMillan. These are the type of suburban prospects, as you mentioned, Illinois has not landed enough of over the last several years. These good suburban defensive line prospects, offensive line prospects that Northwestern, Wisconsin, Iowa has stolen from the state, or I guess not Northwestern, but they've stolen from Illinois, and just really developed a strong foundation for a program with. So these are the kind of guys that I think really help build your program for the long term. Barna's going to have time to develop, add strength here, Joey, behind a really good outside linebacker room that, of course, includes Coleman, Akis. We'll see if Coleman's around for another year or not. Akis will be. Alec Bryant. I'm high on Trey Smith, Calvin Smith, the freshman. But this is a really talented group, and now Charlie Bowlen adds to it.
Yeah, it is. This is Kevin Kane and Brett Bielema and that coaching staff recruited this well. So that's what our question was. What could Charlie Bowlen do? I do want to – you mentioned exactly what we had talked about, guys that other Big Ten West programs had stolen. Like, you look at TJ McMillan, Eddie Turk, Joe Barna. Like, those are guys in 3 years when you're writing the know the foes. It's like players to know on defense, and it's almost – I can almost remember I think it was in 2021, Minnesota in particular. It's like another state of Illinois guy. Like, these are those guys who develop into those guys that are on the, hey, you should watch them over the course of the game, and it's a state of Illinois guy. So you're starting to see Illinois close that gap. That you're never going to shut the door on the state of Illinois. There are states like Iowa I saw our friend Sean Bach posted that, like, yeah, but state of Illinois is a very populated state in terms of where college coaches want to go. But yeah, back to your initial point, Jimmy, the outside linebacker room. This is a good addition. We'll see where Pat Farrell ends up. We think he's a guy who could maybe get more insight on the defensive line. But I'm also curious where this goes in the class of 2024 as well.
Yeah, I mean, defensive line, we know Illinois is excited about the freshman class they brought in. Sounds like Jeremiah Warren and Alex Bray in particular have really shined. Pat Farrell's a guy that I think has the size, the length to be a defensive lineman. I think he can add to his frame. So, you can kind of mix these guys around. That's why it's weird on this defense, the Ryan Walters, Brett Bielema defense. There's a lot of versatility. Like DBs, I don't plug into a certain position because that could change pretty easily. They want guys with versatility. I think on the defensive line, like we've seen Owen Carney play inside on certain downs. We've seen him stand up and drop into coverage every once in a while, right? So I think
Randolph plays all over.
Yeah, Randolph plays 3-4 positions on the defensive line. So yeah, I don't want to lock these guys into he's a stand-up edge rusher because I think Barna could play on the edge. I do think Farrell could play on the edge. Like if they wanted a 4-man front, those guys can play that. If they want a 3-man front with the outside linebacker standing up, I think these guys can do that. And that's what makes this defense, so unpredictable, hard to prepare for, is that you do have guys who can be versatile. So the outside linebacker room looks like it's going to be in good health for a really long time here. Because, I mean, Alec Bryant and Gabe Akis, both are going to be here at least 2 more years, right? They could both be here 3 more years. And then you add Lane Jenkins to that. And Jared Beatty. I didn't even mention Jared Beatty, who I'm really high on as a prospect. And I think he could potentially crack the rotation this year as a redshirt freshman. And then if you add Marquise Lightfoot to it, Joey, like they want to add at least 2 outside linebackers in this class. Josiah Knight was just on campus. That's going to be a Georgia Tech Illinois battle. He said he's going to announce a decision probably within the next 2 weeks. He said July 14th to me. And I think that's pretty close to a toss-up. Seems like Illinois did a really good job. The Georgia Tech is closer to home. Atlanta, big city, seems to intrigue him. They got a good defensive line coach, but I think they would add Knight, and then they'll just find space for Marquise Lightfoot whenever. They'll take Marquise Lightfoot whenever. And even if Lightfoot commits elsewhere, I would imagine Illinois is going to, like Malik Elzy, take that one to signing day. But they're doing a good job. It's good to know that Kevin Kane and Brett Bielema did a good job building up this room, and that Charlie Bowlen's going to help continue to build it into a strength. Like this position is as much as any, right? You feel really good about for the long term.
100%. To your point, there is no universe that anyone at Illinois tells Marquise Lightfoot they're full at any point in time. Like you will move mountains if he's interested in committing to you.